Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Brad, and welcome to I think we're on week 14, if I'm not mistaken, of the book report, where I check in every week, let you all know what I've been reading, what I'm planning to read, all that kind of stuff in the bookish world. It's been an interesting week weather-wise here so far. We had like tornado sirens going off the other night in the middle of the night, which was real exciting. No tornadoes or anything, but the tornado sirens kept us up. And then after that, we've had a lot of rain, and now we've got quite a bit of flooding in town. My house personally, we're fine, but downtown there's a lot of flooding. Like my daughter's dance studio is flooded. Our local library is starting to get flooded. The books are all okay. You don't have to worry about the books. But like the parking garage underneath is getting flooded. And today we drove across town to the other side of town, and the bridge we went over like an hour later, they closed it because there was a loose dock that hit underneath the bridge and burst like one of the water pipes. It was all flowing into the river. The distillery's starting to flood. So crazy weather here. And then my wife sent me a link just a minute ago where tomorrow night, Monday night, we're supposed to get like below freezing temperatures overnight. So that'll be a lot of fun with all the rainwater and the flooding, and then it's all going to freeze up. So that'll be real exciting. Real excited about that. But that's what's been going on here weather-wise, your weekly weather report. But for this week, I wanted to, since it's the end of the first quarter of the year, first quarter's down, I wanted to talk about my favorite books I've read so far this year. So we'll go ahead, we'll dive into that. So I've got a couple, I think I've read 14 or 15 books, somewhere in there. I've enjoyed pretty much everything I've read this year, but there are for sure some standouts. So honorable mention, my favorite books of the year are 5 stars. This one was not, but very close. I think I gave it like 4.5 or something like that. And that is The Wager by David Grann, nonfiction book. Tale of shipwreck, mutiny, and murder. I really dug this one. I'm looking forward to reading more from David Grann. I want to read The Lost City of Z and a lot of other nonfiction books, which I think I talked about that list last week. But yeah, this one was really good. I enjoyed it way more so than I was kind of expecting to, I think, and want to dive into some more nonfiction. So The Wager, one of my favorite books of the year so far. Not 5 stars, but close. And another not 5-star, but close book. One I actually finished up this week on audiobook. Finally finished up The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. Just the whole experience of the audiobook, I think, boosted it up to like 4.5 for me. Andy Serkis narrated it. I really enjoyed the story. I knew what the story was already. I've seen the movies a bunch of times, but really enjoyed, all the stuff that was not in the movies. And then his narration, doing the different voices and stuff like that, was really excellent. So I finished that one up, and that is also one of my favorite books of the year. I was kind of surprised by how the action scenes he wrote felt very quick and snappy and kind of modern. I wasn't expecting that from Tolkien's writing. I don't know why. I just felt like his writing would be a bit more archaic when it came to like the action sequences. But the action scenes were really well written, snappy. Like I said, just the way the violence and stuff is written. I really enjoyed the action sequences there. There's not many, for sure, but when they are on page, they were really well done. So Fellowship of the Ring, one of my other favorite books of the year, just finished that one up. And then these next 3, these are all 5 stars. And I think the last one I talk about is my favorite book I've read so far this year, but any of them could be the number 1. So next up is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. This is about a small hockey town in Sweden. And honestly, I was not expecting to like this one, kind of like The Wager, nearly as much as I did. I'm not a big hockey fan. I am a sports fan, but I don't really pay that much attention to hockey. But this is way beyond hockey. It's really about the townsfolk and their relationships and friendships and bonds and everything they have with each other. Friendship, parents and kids, and all those different relationships between coaches and players, everything like that. And this far exceeded my expectations. This was an excellent book. Not because of the sports. There were some great sports moments in here, lessons you can learn from sports and stuff, but just the relationships and what is going on with the people in this town really excelled. The character work in here is excellent. I really, really enjoyed Beartown, and I do want to continue on with the trilogy. I can't remember what the other books are called, but there's two more in this series that I definitely want to read and see where these characters go from where we leave off in this book. But Beartown by Frederick Bachman, 5-star read. Really, really enjoyed that one. Next up is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I did expect to enjoy this one, and I certainly did. This is about a young boy named Demon. His real name's Damon. They call him Demon. It's set in Appalachia. It really deals with like the opioid epidemic. I can never say that word right. Opioid epidemic in Appalachia, and the struggles of single parenthood, growing up poor, growing up with parents who aren't always there, kind of neglectful, all that kind of stuff, which is really common things you see in these stories that are set in Appalachia. But just the trials and tribulations this young boy went throughout his life. I think it starts out he's like 7-ish, I think, and goes up through him being in high school. I don't remember how far it went him being in high school, but 10 years of his life or so is kind of what this covers, if I remember correctly. It was excellent. It was poignant. There's a character in here that I absolutely hated, which it wasn't really that character's fault because they weren't in the best position anyway, but what they did to our main character, Damon, the influence they had on him really, really made me mad because he was in a good place and it kind of ruined that for him for a while. But bittersweet story. I really love the ending, how it ended up, what happens with him at the end. Excellent story. If you like sort of bittersweet stories, heartbreaking stories, anything set in Appalachia, definitely check out Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. If you like, what's the word I'm looking for? Coming of age. If you like coming of age stories, definitely check that one out. Easy 5-star read. And then my final favorite book of the year, and I think this is my actual favorite one of the year so far. This is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. This was excellent. Again, kind of a theme with all these. The character work in here was great, and the dialogue specifically felt so authentic. I mean, it just felt like you were eavesdropping on these people having these conversations. It's set in Boston, particularly the Southie neighborhood area, and I've never been to Boston. I don't really know anyone personally from Boston, but just the dialect and the way the dialogue is written, it felt so authentic, and it made me connect with the characters even more. This is set in in 1974 during the busing crisis, where they're starting to desegregate the schools in Boston, and they're taking white kids and they're going to bus them to the black schools, and black kids are going to bus them to the white schools and start intermixing the school populations. And there's kind of riots and protests against that and stuff. And then that's the backdrop. And on top of that, our main character, her name Mary? I can't remember now. Yeah, Mary. Her daughter goes missing. And then there's also a death of a young black boy who is murdered in the white side of town. And so the investigation of that's kind of our main story, with all this simmering kind of pent up aggression in the background. This was excellent read. I definitely want to read more from Dennis Lehane. I think this book made him one of my favorite authors, even though I've only read one book from him. If all of his other books are anywhere near as good as this one, he will definitely be one of my favorite authors. But this is Small Mercies by Dennis Lehane. As of now, what is today? April 6th. This is my favorite book of the year so far. So those are my favorite books of the year so far. And one of the things the thing I finished up this week, I finished up listening to the Fellowship of the Ring on audiobook. I did start the Two Towers. I'm not very far into it. I think I finished the first chapter or so, maybe like 40 minutes into the audiobook. Again, with Andy Serkis narrating. And I found it interesting that I won't say what it is. If for any reason, you haven't seen the movies or read the books, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but the ending to the movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, is actually the very beginning of the Two Towers. So they kind of split it up differently, which I can see why they did that for the movie, because the ending to the book is not super climactic or action packed. So that first chapter from Two Towers, they tacked it onto the end of the Fellowship of the Ring. I just found that kind of interesting. But listen to that. I'm listening to The Two Towers on audiobook, and then I'm also reading The Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. I've got just about 100 pages left of this one. I plan to hopefully finish this one up today. This one's good. I am enjoying it. I'm not loving it, but it is pretty good. And what's the blurb? It said it was kind of like Stranger Things, which I can definitely feel that vibe now. Without giving too much away, we're in this small town in Oregon where these like big tech companies have all moved for some reason. And there's this incident at a school at the very beginning where a kid loses control, it seems like, and ends up killing a teacher. And then from there, our main character, I'm going to blank on the name. I'm terrible with remembering names. What's our main character's name? Her name is Lucy. Lucy's kind of dealing with like the PTSD from seeing that event, and they go to this party, her and her friends, and then kind of coasting along, and then it goes from like 0 to 60 like while they're at this party, just goes buck crazy, and it hasn't let up since then. I don't want to say what's going on. I don't want to give anything away too much, but there is kind of like this conspiracy thing going on in the background that gives it kind of that Stranger Things-ish kind of tone and vibe. It's pretty good so far. I am enjoying it. It kind of accelerated a bit too fast for me. I would have liked a little bit more build up before, it got balls to the wall crazy. But it is fun. It is enjoyable. It is a fast read. And like I said, I do plan to hopefully finish this one up today. That's the Loop by Jeremy Robert Johnson. So that's what I'm currently reading. And once I finish up that, I do plan to start probably tomorrow if I can get that one done today. Finally going to start Winter's Bone by Daniel Woodrell. This is the Spinebreakers Book Club pick for second quarter of this year. So if anyone's interested in joining in and reading along with that, you can hop over on the Discord and we'll be reading this one. I'm excited for it. I haven't seen the movie, but plan to hopefully see if I can find the movie streaming somewhere after I read the book. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. And other than that, I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for you guys today. Hopefully the rain chills out and the waters start to go down here in town and the weather starts to straighten itself out. It is spring. It's supposed to be nice and stuff. It shouldn't be 20 degrees at night anymore. So hopefully the weather can get itself under control and get things back on track. But that's all I've got for you guys this week. So let me know what you've been reading down in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear what everybody else is reading. And if you've read anything that I've read and talked about, let me know what you thought about those as well. But again, thanks for hanging out with me today, spending your time with me. Again, my name is Brad, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.